Perhaps you heard it suggested today that a lot of us are lying, unethical hacks. The president said so. Could we have a word about that? President Trump tweeted this morning, when you hear the words sources say from the fake media, oftentimes those sources are made up and do not exist. What the president's claiming here, that journalists invent non-existent sources, that would get any reporter fired from 9 News or any other reputable news source in America. I have never once seen it happen anywhere that I've worked. We at 9 News greatly limit the use of anonymous sources because we know that they strain your trust. But there are times that it's necessary that we know somebody's name but don't share it publicly in order to protect their safety or their livelihood. The president's campaign to convince you that journalists are liars is helped by the fact that local journalism is under a lot of financial pressure and are cutting jobs. So you're less likely to know a local journalist who lives in your neighborhood or goes to your church or school or your favorite brewery. Because if you know any one of us, you know we're not liars. We're people who work and who worry all day, every day, trying to get stories right. Mistakes will happen. But journalism is one job where lying still has consequences. Adele Arcao is basking in the Arizona sunshine somewhere, enjoying her first month of retirement after decades as our lead anchor. And you know, for any TV station replacing a legendary anchor, the real challenge is getting the community accustomed to a brand new face on the team. So I am joined now by Kim Kristensen. And I see here you joined 9 News 32 days ago?
That'd be
years ago. 32 years ago. Going okay so far?
So far, so good.
What are your impressions of Colorado so far?
Lot of what I remember my entire life.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Your work history looks a little sparse for somebody who's getting a lead anchor job. Just the one station?
Just the one station.
But it's worked out okay so far?
Every shift.
Okay.
Every single shift. Every day of the week.
Yeah. And
then they're done that.
I imagine over time you've probably worked with some difficult people.
I have.
Mm-hmm. On rare occasions.
Some more than others. Okay.
We'll leave it there. We don't want anybody to be uncomfortable. So you're moving into the 10 p.m. anchor chair, long held by Adele Arcao. Not certain if you're familiar with her work.
I am.
She was very good.
Very familiar.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. I pretty much can't do this anymore. So when you started here, first job out of school, if somebody had said, oh yeah, one day at lead anchor chair, that's going to be what you do.
Are you kidding me?
You would have laughed them out of the room.
I would have, no. And it actually, about a month or two ago, I started thinking, about a month ago, thinking, if you would have told me as a 21-year-old girl that was once an intern at 9 News, one day, Kim, you could be in that big chair at 10 p.m. I would never. I mean, that is fairy tale stuff. That's like pinch yourself. No, never, ever. I felt so fortunate to get the internship.
Did you ever feel like you missed out at all because you didn't bounce around the country? I mean, some people use this job as a ticket to see America. Right. They live everywhere, they work everywhere, and you chose a different path. At different times I did, and then every time people would come here as a new person, someone like you or a photographer that moved or came back and said, oh my gosh, you guys have no good idea how lucky you have it. Or you work with a Tom Costello who brings it up on a regular basis. The work they do at 9 News, KUSA, is extraordinary. Then I say, man, I'm pretty lucky. I didn't need to leave. It'll be lots of fun. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Colorado has a new minor party. The Unity Party is going to appear on your ballots starting in November. It passed the 1,000 member mark, promising a centrist agenda for the state. I'm joined now by Bill Hammond, who's the chairman of the state party. You've been getting a lot of media attention lately. That's correct. Apparently a lot of reporters who like the idea of your centrist politics. But I want to ask you about your plan to have Colorado secede from the United States, join New Mexico and California in forming a new nation, take over parts of Mexico using force if necessary, and give Colorado a path to the sea.
Well, tough question to start off with. Well, the Trump presidency, it is very problematic. All evidence is that Trump and his members of administration are colluding with the Russians. And let's just say that's not a major plank. Well, let me be very clear, that's not a party plank, that's just my own position as gubernatorial candidate.
It's your number one position as a gubernatorial candidate. I wouldn't
say number one, maybe it might be listed number one.
It has a little number one next to it.
Okay.
But so you're running for governor, you're kind of the head of the Unity Party here, and I'm curious, obviously, you guys want to be taken seriously.
Correct.
Can you be taken seriously if something that nutty is front and center?
Well, I don't think that's nutty. I think the Trump administration is nutty.
Well, then let's talk through it. So the portion about conquering part of Mexico for the path to the sea.
Okay, well, let's just say that it is on the back burner that Colorado, when we take a major look at the fact, what's going on in the United States with the Trump administration. It's an idea. That's all it is.
With all due respect, is it a little bit too easy for somebody to become a minor party and get on the Colorado ballot?
Not at all. I am the only candidate who successfully petitioned onto the ballot as a third party, actually to my knowledge, as a third party candidate. And since the laws are written as they stand in the last 33 years, we are the only second new minor party in the state in 40 years, and the last one was 20 years ago.
All right, Bill Hammond, chair of the Unity Party, Colorado's newest minor party. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing some of your views.
Okay, thank you.
Each Friday we ask, what's your good news? Knowing that not everyone is in a happy place, literally and figuratively. Our Steve Steger has this week's edition.
Well, in general, I'm alive.
Those two words so often make up the response to our simple weekly question.
A lot of times, since I suffer from PTSD from being in the military as well, it's hard for me to feel my happy, but I'm happy to be alive.
Good news has been hard to come by for Harry Jackson and Tanya Cummings. Both struggle with invisible scars marked through their service to this country. Harry's in Vietnam.
At 18 years old, it was unreal.
Tanya's service during the 80s.
It took a long time to have a right to fight for women's rights as a veteran.
It's hard to see the bright side.
We're here about to attend a funeral of a friend and a relative, so, we're looking back over my life. I'm just glad to be here.
This is the last place you'd expect to hear good news.
The sad part is saying goodbye to a loved one, but, when you say goodbye, it's over. You go on to the next step, the next phase of life.
Yet it illustrates the power.
Someone comes out the blue to ask me, what am I happy about? No one's ever does that.
The power of a simple question.
It's a very sad day, but I'm happy to have been blessed to have someone stop me and ask me what makes me happy, to look for a happy end today.
So while Marshall was doing hard work earlier, I was out having a beer with our political analyst, Democrat Ian Silveri and Republican Kelly Maher. We were working on this other project, which involves beer. But while we were there and the cameras were there, we talked about whether being rich is now a requirement to win statewide office. Yeah. Money in Colorado politics. Yeah. So on the Republican side, we're going to have 2, maybe 3 self-funders, successful businessmen who bring a lot of money to the table. Sure. We've got Jared Polis in the Democratic race. Is that just how it works now?
I mean, it's possible that that's how it works now. The question is these really, really draconian campaign finance limits that we have in the state were actually passed by Jared Polis, who is now specifically benefiting from that, right? Because he can put his own money in and yet tell everybody that he's only accepting $100 donations because he can put together a professional campaign that is entirely self-funded. And so that becomes a problem for anybody else. The barrier to entry to run for office, particularly statewide, where TV is very expensive, except on 9 News, is really a problem.
I mean, it's sort of a scary thing, right? Because all of a sudden you're looking at the map of the country, there's 50 states that each have a governor, and all of a sudden maybe a bunch of other billionaires get an idea, maybe I should be governor too, right? Like, so they can write their own check, no matter how big, no matter when it happens, they can just decide that they're gonna become governor, and they can write a $30 million check and outspend any other candidate in the field. So I think it might be a paradigm shift, like Kelly said, for the whole country. But at the end of the day, we as a nation hate the way campaigns are funded right now. No one likes the status quo except for maybe some big donors. So maybe it'll start a conversation about comprehensive campaign finance reform, which I'm all for.
Guys, thank you for this conversation.
Cheers.
Ian, you need to redistribute some of your beer to Kelly here.
Oh, yes. No.
Wrong beer.
No. Yeah.
Colorado is home to the world's largest and fastest firefighting aircraft. Perhaps you remember the splashy announcement with all the politicians. But did you know it has never flown on a fire in Colorado or even in the U.S.? Marshall Zellinger went to Colorado Springs to find out why.
The global SuperTanker is a converted 747 turned into a giant fire engine. It can drop almost 20,000 gallons from its retrofit firefighting system.
We can do water, slurry, foam, gel, and unlike most of the aircraft out there, we can also carry two of those. We could carry water on one side of the system and gel on the other.
It can do all that. It just hasn't, at least in the U.S., since its choreographed unveiling in Colorado Springs in May 2016.
We expected it to be operational by now.
And it is. Just not here. It helped with fires in Israel last year and Chile in January. The tanker has FAA approval to be in U.S. airspace, but it just lost its temporary 6-month leash from the U.S. Forest Service that expired June 15th. The Forest Service has not signed off on the plane's tank system, essentially not convinced that it properly drops retardant, which the plane continued testing last month in a method called flying the grid.
The aircraft makes multiple passes over literally thousands of T-posts that have been driven into the ground, and on the top of each one is a small Dixie cup holder.
The cups are collected and weighed to determine the effectiveness of the drop. The Forest Service is now reviewing the most recent tests.
It's more administrative. It's a matter of looking at what was done and discussing why did you do this or why didn't you do that.
The review could take a few more months, past the peak of fire season.
It's very frustrating for us because that's the business we're in. Not only are we firefighters, we have one of the most effective tools that is available for it.
Here is an oversimplified explanation of what the Forest Service is looking for. They want to make sure that when that plane drops retardant, that it's not looking like a straight line like this, that it's more of the soft wash or the garden variety. Kyle, if you come out here, I'll give you a better example of what this looks like. You can stand in this area right here.
No, I think I've got a pretty good handle on it right here. Our thanks to Marshall Zellinger and his nozzle. I have heard the unlucky in love, men and women alike, blame this city for their troubles. Menver, they say, is too swamped with guys for too few ladies. Look up Denver on Urban Dictionary and it will say the nickname Menver is because of the belief that men outnumber the women drastically. So we set out to see if it's true because, you know, #journalism. Show me what you're working with, U.S. Census Bureau, which has numbers through the year 2015. We know Denver's been growing, certainly. From 2010 to 2015, the city went from 578,000 to 649,000 people. And it's also becoming steadily more female. But we're still fully stocked with dudes. Single men who have never married outnumber women who have never married by 19,000. In the millennial age group, people 20 to 34, so think peak dating season. In that group, single men outnumber single women by close to 9,000 in the city. The statistics settle it. All the single ladies, now put your hands up. You are in demand in Denver, aka Menver. It is real. And because data is sexy, we have all of our research proving that Menver exists in this article in the next section of 9news.com. Email next@9news.com or give us a shout with the hashtag #HeyNext. Bless you. If it seems like I offered an offhand bless you to our camera operator Mitch last night. I am told that Mitch's sneeze, while loud in my ear, was not audible to those of you at home. So nearly everybody thought, huh? Except for one viewer named Patrick, who had just sneezed in his living room when the guy in the TV turns and says, bless you, and totally freaked Patrick out. Fear not, everybody. This is a one-way thing, at least for now.